everyone. Welcome to another American TESOL Presents Free Friday webinars. I'm your hostess, Shelly Sanchez Terrell, and we're here every Friday thanks to AmericanTESOL.com, where you can get certifications in teaching with technology, teaching TESOL, TESOL Advanced, teaching young learners English, teaching business English, and we have courses online and also face-to-face. Today we're going to have a new topic, and you can always see our past webinars. We always have them on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/user/ATESOL. And so you're able to watch these in case you missed them. And this is a new topic that we haven't really talked about before, although we have talked about one of the web tools, you'll see in just a little bit. But what we mean by live video is a little bit different than teaching necessarily with YouTube or learning with YouTube or learning with maybe a video quiz. Like, for example, a lot of teachers flip the classroom and they may use software like Edpuzzle or screencasting. And so this is much different than that. Right now, with a lot of web tools and social media especially, social media has evolved and they've noticed that video is quite popular. And because this is such a popular media and people really love to look at videos and consume videos, now places like Facebook and Twitter and even Snapchat and Instagram and some other tools will allow you to simply use the camera on your mobile device, on your smartphone, and then just start broadcasting to an entire audience. And so that's what we really mean in this webinar or this presentation about live video. How can we use those tools where you just live stream to an audience, especially within a social network, to be able to engage learners? I really like what this particular e-learning specialist says about video, and I think it's very true, especially for students and our learners, is that right now videos are so powerful because you can do so much. You can have audio in them, you can have cool transitions, visuals, text, and you can combine it all and you can get students engaged, but they can learn a lot in a very short time, whether it's a minute, 30 seconds, or even 3 to 5 minutes. So the three that we're going to talk about today, and mostly I'm going to focus on Hangouts on Air and Facebook Live video. Hangouts on Air is also known as YouTube Live, but it's known as both. So I recently looked up at the different platforms, and they still have Hangouts on Air in some places, especially, but this is basically YouTube Live. This is going to your YouTube channel and broadcasting from there. You don't necessarily have to broadcast, but I will show you how you can do that and how you can make it engaging and what features are there and why it's different than giving a webinar and how it's very similar to this kind of environment where we give a webinar. There's also Periscope. Periscope is less often used. It used to be used quite frequently and often, but now it seems with Facebook Live and YouTube Live that there tends to be more popularity and an audience grown in those platforms. So I think that they're a little bit more familiar with students. The great thing is, even though you can broadcast these basically from a mobile device, there are different features, especially at Facebook Live. And I'll be actually presenting on Facebook Live probably in the next few months with the U.S. Embassy because I'm an ESL specialist with the U.S. Embassy. And this is what they've been using to offer professional development to their teachers. And so that's really what got me interested in looking at the platform and seeing what are the possibilities. So we might think, okay, maybe we are uncomfortable or we don't know how to present from our mobile device. With Facebook Live, it's a little bit complicated, but they actually give you tools so you'll be able to live stream and you can do it from your computer. The same with Hangouts on Air slash, also called YouTube Live, and I'm pretty sure they're soon going to just not call it Hangouts on Air. They're probably just going to call it YouTube Live soon, just YouTube Live. And with, of course, YouTube Live, Hangouts on Air, you can definitely use your browser, use a laptop or computer. And I think a lot of teachers are more comfortable with that. But the great part about this is even if you broadcast from your laptop, your students will be able to see this on their mobile device. So that's what's really important. And these platforms are free. They're very accessible. They show up. You can subscribe, which is really incredible because one advantage about subscribing to a channel, a live feed or a channel, is that your students will be able to be notified when the next one is. They will get an alert, and that way they can have that constant learning and also engagement. With the webinar, often I get asked by teachers and by also I constantly have to share that information because we don't, with the webinar, you don't necessarily have that chance or opportunity to subscribe and get updated. Hey, here's the next show that's going to happen. You can tune in, you can participate. So that's one of the really great advantages of using this with students, because we know with students that they tend to subscribe, especially YouTube channels. Even on Instagram, they follow people and they're used to that kind of culture of subscribing. And when they see things in their feed or they're notified, then they'll jump along because they're kind of curious. If you want your students to start presenting in these platforms, or you want them to have an individual account, then they have to be 13 years old or older. I don't necessarily recommend that for now. I mean, your students can do that under your account, but that's definitely what I recommend. You can set up your own account to teach to any age group, even young learners, because it's your account. So as long as you're managing the account. The other part is you can choose your audience who it goes live to. So and I'll show you how that works. But for now, also know you don't have to, especially with YouTube Live, you don't necessarily have to make it public. So you don't have to have everyone see this. Sometimes we think with Facebook Live and YouTube Live or YouTube, when we hear that, we think, oh, everyone can see it, not just my students. But I'm going to show you how you can set it up so that doesn't have to be the case. And if you're using Google, if you're just using Hangouts, not Hangouts on Air, and you're not recording, because if you just use Hangouts, then you won't have the ability to record, then you can definitely do where you're with another class. Let's say that you want your class to meet another class like Skype. You can use Hangouts instead, and you don't have to record, and it doesn't get broadcasted or anything like that. It's like Skype, very private. So you can use Google Hangouts in that way as well. So I'm going to show you what Facebook Live is about. And welcome to the newcomers. I see Carlos and Maria and from Venezuela. So very, very nice. I spent a few times, a few months in Venezuela, traveling everywhere. And it was really incredible. It was wonderful, wonderful, filled with incredible teachers. So Facebook Live, and what's really great about these platforms is that a lot of times, a lot of countries, a lot of countries that I've worked in, Venezuela being one of them, a lot of the students and the teachers are now using social media platforms. So some of us might think, oh well, they may not be so safe, but if we use them with teens really like these kind of platforms, um, university students, adults. So there's a lot you can do with it, and one of the reasons why is because these platforms are accessible to anyone. You don't have to pay for them. You don't have to pay for all the advanced tools and the great ways you can interact. So I will show you some of the features on Facebook Live in case you're new to this. With Facebook Live, it's really interesting because you show up, you're on the webcam, and you're broadcasting. You get to choose who your audience is. You can, but they can interact with you in so many ways that is different than a webinar platform. So here we have a chat box. There you see the comments, and you would actually just go to the page or the person's profile or the group, because you can do this through a group, and you just, like, you're entering, you're replying to a status, like a Facebook status. You would add comments that way, and the person who's presenting can actually pin some of their favorite comments to be there. And so you can see other people's comments, you can see reactions. So if, for example, I ask you a question and I want to know, if you agree with it, or if you disagree, then you can put an angry face, or you can put a like, or you can put wow. So that's very cool. Students love that. Students love the ability to be able uh, to to show engagement by using those emojis and ways to react. The other great thing is, um, so with if you've ever used Google Hangouts on there in the past, it's changed a lot, and they took out a lot of apps. And one of my favorite apps that I really did like was that you had the ability to dress up. Well, Facebook Live, you can do that. So they're kind of trying to make it like Snapchat in a way. So they have filters where if your students do end up presenting, or if they want to, let's say you're conducting an interview, or just especially if you think about it with little kids, let's say that you have a Facebook page and you're teaching young learner songs. This is from your official Facebook page, and you want to do a finger play or something. Then these little special effects, you can add, for example, this unicorn. You can add ears. You can add different types of animals, and that makes it very fun. That just is a great way to engage young learners, adolescents. They love to see that. So if you're a teacher who has that personality, and you're not afraid to use these effects to add um, this some fun to it, then you can really get before introducing a story, or maybe before teaching a finger play or a chant, or before just describing a story or reading a story, you could use those kind of ideas. Facebook Live page, the live Facebook page, has tons of tips, because what a lot of people do this are usually those who are social media celebrities. Okay, so for example, one of the Facebook Live channels that I follow is Doug the Pug. I mean, he's a very famous pug, and he comes and does some really funny um, videos. He is very popular in Instagram, and now he also is doing some of the Facebook Live shows. So if you have popular, famous people you follow, or accounts that you really enjoy in Instagram or Snapchat, you might check to see if they have a Facebook Live account too. But the Facebook Live also gives you many different ideas, but also lets you know the different ways that you can use the platform. So some of the ideas are, for example, to teach a song, rehearse, practice, shows how to do. So you can definitely, and all of that is really great with learners. We can show them, for example, how to cook something. We can show them, for example, how to, about verbs. We can show them about idioms. There's so many ways that you can really use the platform. If you want to see how and participate in an event to kind of get the idea, so the best way that I learn about using these tools is first I see somebody else use them, and you'll soon be able, you can see already educators here, but this is where I'll be eventually presenting. But it's facebook.com/American English for Educators /videos. And American English for Educators is just the U.S. Embassy's professional development for English language teachers. It's free, and they're using Facebook Live, so you can get some ideas. With Facebook Live, you can also show a presentation. So that's really very cool as well, and you'll be able to see that in those channels, because not only, sometimes we think with these platforms, especially if you have Snapchat or Instagram, you can't really do that. But with Facebook Live, they've realized that, sometimes people want to show slides, and so you have the opportunity to do that as well. Periscope is another live channel where you can stream yourself or stream an event as well. So it doesn't mean that you have to necessarily have you on there, but you can also show different events. If you're a person who travels, let's say that a lot of English language teachers travel, and some of their students may not get that opportunity. So if you use one of these, by the way, all of these are free apps, and all of them you can use with Android, you can use with an iOS device. So you have multiple ways to access these, to access this software. You can even use your laptop. So that's quite good. A Chromebook. So that's really nice. So something that you can do is take your students along on a field trip. So if they're not able to go, but it's somewhere that you're going, let's say a conference. Recently, I know some teachers from Venezuela and other places around the world went to Chicago for the TESOL conference. And if that's an opportunity, your students, don't get to go see Chicago, you could, invite them, take them on a tour, and then they're learning English, they're learning about America, they're learning about a city, and there's a great lesson in that. There's also ways that you can get students to see different news reports. So they don't only have to learn from you, they can actually learn from different channels that show news, that show also learning English channels as well. There's a lot of different ways to use. There's a lot of channels on Periscope and Facebook Live that really show different types of English, and it's authentic, and it's current events. So that's really a great opportunity to get exposure to that as well. Hangout. So Hangouts is one of the really useful ways to use live video. So it has that live video option, but there's also ways to get your students to also learn and teach others using Hangouts. So if you want to use the one that doesn't record, you can have 150 students in one chat. So you can just use it as a chatting tool. You can use emojis. It has so many things as a messenger tool. But you can share pictures. I mean, there's just so much you can do. I wouldn't recommend 150 students. I think it gets very messy after a while. It's kind of overwhelming. But, if you have a small group, 10 students, maybe 15, 20, or even they can get together and they can have study groups as well. You can have up to 25 in a video. Now, this is the one that does not record, and you can use the app for that as well. But that can be very fun too. There are times when I've had, we've had bad weather, we had Harvey and things like that. And one of the ways I was able to continue the teaching was to be able to do it through a live video event. So that was very useful. So if you want this recorded, they still call it, you'll notice at the bottom it's called Hangouts on Air, but it's on your YouTube channel. So it's mostly referred to as YouTube Live. Okay, so you have to go to your YouTube channel. You can click this link, my_live_event, and that's where you would go to broadcast. And you can record that. It pops up with the window, and in your window you can have chat tool. You can have a chat box. You can invite others. You can invite students along as well. They can show their video, they can use their audio, or they don't have to. They can just have a picture. They can, if you're using it like you would use Skype to interact with another country or to interact with students in another location, you can use what's called Hangout Toolbox, lower third. And this is, so the features, let me go back. So the features for this, if you're trying to use this, are on the left side. That's where you're going to find those options. So the Hangout Toolbox is this little green one. It looks like a little toolbox, but that's where you'll find extras, okay? When you go to lower third, you can add your name, you can add your country, you can add your Twitter handle, whatever your students want to add, they can. And that tells others, especially if you're interacting with another school, that can be very useful because you're getting to know each other. And so it's good to be able to, have the country, the student's name, so when they show up, then the other classmate automatically can see who they're talking to. So that's very nice. So what are some ideas for using all of these three tools? Well, some very easy ideas that you could do right away is to invite a guest expert and have students interview that guest expert. For example, a lot of times we can't get experts maybe inside the classroom, but I bet you can ask the local, the zoo. They might have a zookeeper, or you could ask an engineer to just show up on this, and then you can give them different options, whether it's Hangouts or Facebook Live, and let them know, that who's going to see this. And you can have students prepare questions ahead of time, things that, they're very interested in. They can do, because the comments are there, your students can do chain stories. So when you are presenting live, you can encourage students, you can start the story and say, once upon a time, there was a princess, and then the next person in the comment fills it out, adds to the story, and you read out their line aloud. The great thing about this is that they're putting this in the comments section, and you can even correct the grammar while you're reading it. You can read the correct grammar from what they wrote, and you're not embarrassing them because you're not telling them, oh, this is the correct way, you didn't do this right. Instead, you're just reading it with the proper grammar, and so that they can hear that, okay? And then all together, they'll see their story come to life. You can take them on a virtual field trip, or you can invite a guest expert to show them around the zoo, behind the scenes of the zoo. So you can schedule virtual field trips. You can, or if you're going somewhere, like I said, Chicago or something like that, then you can invite your students to come along. The great thing about these live videos is another great thing that's better or more a bigger benefit than using a webinar. When after this webinar, it takes quite a while for the recording to come up. sometimes hours, sometimes the next day. But when you do one of these live events, it's immediately, as soon as you finish, it takes a few minutes and it's the video's there, the recording's there if you want it. So if you're doing a Facebook Live video, then it'll be on your on your Facebook page or your Facebook group or your profile. Yes, you can delete it. So that's a very good question. And TPS, can you delete it? Yes, you can. Or you can make it for only a certain amount of a limited audience. So that's good. The other part is with the Google Hangouts on Air, the same thing. You can, it goes automatically on your YouTube channel, and you can even make it to the setting where only those with the link can view it. And of course, you'd only share the link with your students or something like that. You can have where you do lessons, where you do flip the classrooms. You can have interviews. And what I mean by interviews is in America, we have talk shows, and it's really famous kind of for a talk show host to go to the streets and start interviewing random people. And so that's something you can do with your learners as well. You can have them think about a question that you want to ask several people around you. And you can have learners guess ahead. Okay, what do you think is going to be the answer? Do you think, a lot of people are going to be able to answer this way or that way? And it's a lot of fun because when they see the interviews, then they're able to see whether that is true or not, whether they guessed right or not. You can use it for polling. Also, you can learn within the context. So, for example, if you're trying to show them, um, if you're trying to introduce them to vocabulary that deals with shopping, you can be at the shopping, at a clothes store, and then you can have them guess in the comments. Okay, what do we call what's the material? What's the proper weather for this? What's the price? So there's a lot of ways you can, um, have learning within the context. You can have them subscribe to news or learn English channels. The one that, so there's not a lot that just focus on learning English. The one that I found that was really good was this one. It's called English Class 101. So it's facebook.com. They have the English Class 101 page. They have a lot of videos. They do them live so students can learn about idioms. They can learn about language. English Class 101 also has a Periscope channel. So they've really gotten on board, and students are able to see both channels. So if your students aren't on Facebook, then they can always watch the ones that are on Periscope. I don't believe that they need the app to see the video, but they may need it to like the video or something like that. I could be wrong with that though. You can have different types of emoji feedback activities because emojis are part of the comments on Google Hangouts and also for Facebook. And so you can have them, for example, you can read a poem and then you can get their, how they feel about a certain line. You can talk about characters and whether they agree or disagree with the decision. So there's so many ways to get feedback with emojis. You can also use something like an exit ticket is before you go, you want to let's say you quickly want to see if your audience or your learners were able to understand the lesson. Okay, so one quick way to do that is with emojis. You can ask 3 questions and then have them respond with these emojis. I was interested in what we learned today, and then they'll put a happy emoji, or no, I wasn't. So you can quickly, you can scan the comments and quickly see if it was interesting. Or you can ask a question like, I understood what we did today or what we learned today, or I understood the idiom, and you can ask. So whatever the question is, they just respond with the emoji, and then that's a quick way to see whether they got it, whether they understood. With Hangouts, there's a lot more opportunities for your students to collaborate and actually have their own live video lesson. I think Hangouts, which is also called YouTube Live, is the safest way to do it. It also has a lot of features and stuff. Remember, you have to be 13 years or older. I actually have this document that helps you out with that, so you can download that for free. You can find it on my blog, teacherrebootcamp.com, and I'll give you the links afterwards. And then it just gives you tips. It gives you tips how to make the broadcast, who should record it, giving your students different roles and duties and responsibilities. So, for example, let's say you wanted them to make a newscast, then they could work in a team of 4 and be, broadcast the news. They can present a news segment on Hangouts. And so it really divides it into different roles so your students will be able to do that. Remember, the recording is on the YouTube channel. So I would recommend having a class, or sometimes schools will have their own YouTube account. Always make sure it's okay with the school. Always make sure it's okay with the parents. One great thing about having a broadcast or any kind of video show on Hangouts is your students, they can chat with each other on the right side, and that's not part of the recording. That's just a way for them to organize themselves. So they can even put their script there. They can plan. They can say, okay, you're going next. You're going next. And so I find that that's really great, especially for language learners. They need to be able to talk with each other and plan and do the best. So I like that chat is there and it doesn't get recorded. You can screen share with Hangouts. So that's what I really love about it as well. You can show what's on your screen. So you can show a presentation. You can show a slide presentation. So with Hangouts, you have a lot more opportunities to get students to get into study groups, to debate each other, to brainstorm together. They can even complete a Google Doc together, which gives them opportunities to do so much more, because you just, in the chat box, you just click your Google Drive, and then you can have access to a spreadsheet or a drawing, slides, documents, and all the students, if you allow them, can collaborate on that. They can design a presentation together. They can peer edit. They can analyze a text. Let's say you want them to look at a PDF that's in your Google Drive. They can do that too. So there's a lot of opportunities for them to be able to work together. They can also fill out a graphic organizer together, and you don't have to make these. There's actually 2 teachers I recommend that are really awesome about giving you tons of free graphic organizers. And the one, EdTechNut, it's the edtechnut.blogspot.com. It's Kelly Fitzgerald. She has tons of KW,